Today, we're talking about the man steering the U.S. economy, arguably one of the most powerful jobs on the entire planet. His name is Jerome Powell, but here's the thing. His path to the top is probably not what you'd expect at all.
So let me just start with this question. What if the person in charge of fighting inflation, setting interest rates, and basically guiding the world's biggest economy didn't have the traditional background for it? It sounds like a trick question, but I promise you, it's not.
And there's your answer. Jerome J. Powell is the first Fed chair in almost 50 years who isn't a PhD economist. So you have to wonder, how on earth did a lawyer from D.C. land this job? Well, that's the story we're going to unpack right now.
All right, so let's start with this idea of him being an unexpected chairman. To really get why his appointment was so unusual, you first have to understand just how influential this job really is.
You know, the decisions the Fed chair makes, they ripple through every part of our lives. We're talking about the interest rate on your mortgage, how easy it is to find a job, even the price of milk at the grocery store. It's a role that demands an incredibly deep understanding of economics, which is exactly what makes Powell's background so surprising. So let's rewind and go back to the beginning. Because Powell's early life, his education, none of it pointed towards banking or economics. It all pointed towards a courtroom.
I mean, just look at this educational path. It's a classic pipeline to a high-powered legal career. You've got prestigious schools, a poli-sci degree from Princeton, and then a law degree from Georgetown, where he was even an editor on the Law Journal. And with his father being a lawyer too, it seemed like his path was pretty much set in stone.
But here it is. This is where the story takes its first major turn. Even though he was on the fast track in the legal world, he had this realization: his real interest wasn't in legal arguments. It was in the fast-paced, high-stakes world of markets and money. And that realization, well, it changed everything. So he did something pretty bold. He left the safety and security of a top-tier law career and decided to jump headfirst into the world of Wall Street investment banking. And you can see the pivot so clearly right here. It's like two different universes. On one side, you have the structured, precedent-focused world of a top law firm, and on the other, the dynamic, market-driven world of an investment bank, where he just shot up the ranks to vice president. He basically traded in law books for market charts, and it turns out that was a world where he really thrived.
And he didn't stop there, not by a long shot. Becoming a partner at the Carlyle Group, we're talking one of the biggest private equity firms on the planet, that move cemented his status as a major player in global finance. He wasn't just working in the system anymore. He was one of the people shaping it from the top. But Powell's story, it has another twist. Just when you think he's conquered Wall Street, he pivots again. This time, he takes all that financial expertise and brings it back home to Washington, D.C., blending it with public service.
Now, this was a really critical step. Taking on this big role at the Treasury Department put him right at the crossroads of government policy and financial markets. He wasn't some outsider analyzing the economy anymore. He was now on the inside, helping to actually manage it.
And this was no desk job. He was in the trenches, you know? He was dealing with huge issues like banking policy, managing the entire country's debt, and even helping navigate a major bond market crisis. This is the kind of real-world, high-pressure experience that you just can't learn from a textbook.
So what this all led to was Powell developing this unique kind of bilingual fluency. He could speak the language of high finance, and he could speak the language of politics, a really rare combination that made him incredibly valuable. And it was precisely that unique combination of skills that paved his way to the very top of economic policy, to the Federal Reserve itself.
I mean, just stop and think about this timeline for a second. It's pretty amazing. He gets his start on the Fed board thanks to a Democrat, President Obama. Then he gets promoted to the top job, Fed chair, by a Republican, President Trump. And then he gets reappointed by another Democrat, President Biden. This kind of support from both sides of the aisle is practically unheard of today, and it really tells you something about the level of respect he commands.
So when you look at his leadership style, it all makes perfect sense, right? It's a direct reflection of his journey. He's not some academic theorist lost in models, he's a pragmatist. People who've worked with him say he's calm under pressure, he's decisive, all qualities that were forged in those real-world crises on Wall Street and in Washington. It's his deep, hands-on market knowledge that truly sets him apart. And really, this brings us to the final big-picture question. Jerome Powell's story forces us to ask something fundamental about leadership. In today's incredibly complex economy, what do we need more? Is it a leader who is steeped in academic theory? Or is it one who's been tested in the real-world fires of finance and government? Powell's career isn't just a biography. It's the ultimate case study, and we're all watching it play out in